Namaste. Namaste. Commerce students எல்லாருக்குமே CA அப்படின்றது ஒரு ட்ரீம். Actually, when you enter commerce stream or rather எப்பயாவது யாரையாவது காமர்ஸில் படிக்கிறேன்னு சொன்னாலே the immediate next question they ask, be it teachers, anybody, neighbors, யாராக இருந்தாலும் அடுத்தது CA-வா? This is a very popular question for all commerce students. So இந்த CA-ன்றது ஒரு dream for all commerce student. Not all pursue, but அது ஒரு dream. They take various directions. சில பேர் அந்த ட்ரீமை ரொம்ப பர்ஃபெக்டாக பர்சியூ பண்ணுவாங்க. இன்னைக்கு அந்த மாதிரி பர்ஃபெக்டாக பர்சியூ பண்ண ஒருத்தரை தான் ஐம் ஜஸ்ட் கோயிங் டு இன்டர்வியூ ஃபார் டூ பர்பஸ். ஒன்று, டு இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் தட் பர்சன் அண்ட் மேக் யூ நோன் அபவுட் தட் பர்சன். செகண்ட், அவங்க எப்படி இதை பர்சியூ பண்ணாங்க, வாட் வென்ட் பிஹைண்ட் ஹர் சக்ஸஸ், இதெல்லாம் தான் பார்க்க போகிறோம். ஐ ஹாவ் வித் மீ Ranjana Ramesh, a chartered accountant today, all India rank holder. CA ல மொத்தம் 50 ரேங்க் தான் கொடுப்பாங்க. டோட்டலி ஆல் இந்தியால 50 ரேங்க்ஸ் தான் கொடுப்பாங்க. போத் அட் இன்டர் அண்ட் அட் ஃபைனல் லெவல். அந்த மாதிரி 50 ரேங்க்ல போத் இன் இன்டர் அண்ட் இன் ஃபைனல் she has scored a rank. எஜுகேஷன் ஃபுல்லா சென்னையில தான். DAV ஸ்கூல், DAV Senior Secondary School, கோபால்புரம்ல she did her school education. அதுக்கப்புறம் MOP வைஷ்ணவா காலேஜ். அதுக்கப்புறம் she entered chartered accountancy. Price Waterhouseல ஆர்டிகல்ஷிப் பண்ணாங்க. இன்டர்ல ஆல் இந்தியா ரேங்க் 37 and ஃபைனல்ல ஆல் இந்தியா ரேங்க் 46. வெல்கம் ரஞ்சனா.
Thank you so much, sir.
ஆக்சுவலாக இது ரொம்ப ஈஸ் பண்ணதுக்காக என்னுடைய ஃபர்ஸ்ட் கொஸ்டின், ஒரு 1 week before your result, I was just texting you. அப்போ என்கிட்ட நீ சொன்ன ஒரு I am extremely anxious அப்படின்னு ஒரு வார்த்தை யூஸ் பண்ண. I remember that word. நான் உங்ககிட்ட ரிசல்ட்டை பற்றி கேட்டப்போ. ஸோ I just want to make you relive that moment for a minute. அந்த ரிசல்ட் பார்த்த டைம் அண்ட் ரிசல்ட் பார்த்ததுக்கப்புறம் உன்னோட ஃபீலிங்.
ஸோ நான் ரிசல்ட் பார்த்ததுன்றது இட் இஸ் கொஞ்சம் காம்ப்ளிகேட்டட் ஸ்டோரி. பிகாஸ் எப்போவுமே என் ரிசல்ட்டை வந்து ஐ ஜென்ரலி டோன்ட் see it. ஸோ மை சிஸ்டர் ஹேஸ் டு see. ஸோ தட் இஸ் த லக்கி charm for me. So it's generally my sister who sees all my results. Like from my class 12, it's been her. And so in the party again, but she was not with me in Chennai. So that's why it was a little complicated. So results declared a notification vanda odane, the first thing I did was to call her. And then obviously, so ellaru result paaka arambichodane, site was jammed. So we were not able to get through the site for like 10 minutes. So adukulle all my friends had already seen the result. And I also got to know that a lot of them had passed. So that is when the anxiety built up even more. So namak enna agumo abindra that thought crept in exactly at that moment. And adukaprom my sister called back in 10 minutes and she said pass. So on the moment I didn't even ask her enna mark nu kuda kekala. I just wanted those words pass in rendu group liyo. So that was the only thing I wanted at that moment. So I kept the call and I didn't realize that na mark kekalendrathe na realize pannala. So I called her back in like 2 seconds and then I was like enna mark. So that is when we realized, okay, இந்த மார்க்குக்கு மேபி ரேங்க் வரலாமே அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு that is when we went back to the merit list.
Excellent. Actually வந்து இன்னொரு கொஸ்டினும் எனக்கு ஆன் த டாப் ஆஃப் மை மைண்ட் இது எப்பயுமே லிங்கர் பண்ணும். ஏன்னா இந்த சக்ஸஸ்ஃபுல் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்க்கெலாம் தே ஹாவ் அ வாட் யூ கால் எ வெயிட் டு கேரி அப்படின்னு நான் நினைப்பேன். இன்டர்ல ரேங்க் வாங்கினதுனாலே அது ஒரு ப்ரெஷர், ஃபைனல்லையும் யூ வில் ஸ்கோர் ரேங்க் அப்படின்றது அமாங்ஸ் த சர்க்கிள் ரொம்ப பாப்புலராக பேசுவாங்க. ஸோ வாஸ் தேர் அ ப்ரெஷர் ஆன் யூ ஆன் தட்?
From my family side, I would say definitely there was no pressure because my parents are extremely supportive. So they never told anything of this sort, like interla vaangita vaangano abindradilla. So it was, I would say it was completely blessings from elders and God's grace that I was able to make it again in final. But I never took that pressure personally because I didn't want to pressurize myself or a target vachi then working towards it. I wanted to give my best. So whatever my best was, I tried to give it a shot. So I never had rank in the mind, but there was always the pressure from the outside world in Salala, like from my peer group or from my colleagues madri. There was always an expectation that I might place a rank abdinu, but I never took it to my heart.
That's good. So now I go back to your fundamental story. CA, how did you enter? At what age or at what level of your schooling you thought that you should become a CA?
So firstly, I am not a first gen chartered accountant in my family. So my dad is a chartered accountant by profession. So I already had knowledge about this course like from a very young age. But I did not decide at a very young age. So when I was in my 10th grade, so we are in a crossroad generally. So we'll have to decide whether we'll have to pursue with science or with commerce. So I was at that point of time, and that is when I thought probably commerce was my cup of tea, because I was generally never passionate about science or any of those subjects related to science. So that's when I spoke to my dad about what it takes to be in the commerce field. So that's when he gave me a lot of insights on what exactly the commerce field is and what are the various available opportunities. So I'll have to give due regard that my dad never pressurized me to take up this course. Even though he's a chartered accountant, he never pressurized me to take this course. He always said it's my choice and I can do whatever I want, but he just made sure I was aware of the various available alternatives. So எனக்கு என்னெல்லாம் இருக்குன்னு மட்டும் he said. So then I thought over it, and when I was in my 12th grade, I decided I'll have to give it a shot, because I felt this was something that I wanted to take up and it suited my interests also.
Okay, good. ஒரு எக்ஸ்டர்னல் பெர்ஸ்பெக்டிவ்லேன்னு பார்க்கலாம். ஃபார் அ மினிட் லெட்ஸ் ஃபர்கெட் தட் யூ ஆர் டாக்கிங் டு எ சிஏ. ஒரு 10th ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்டுக்கு ஹவு வில் யூ சே தட் கோ டு காமர்ஸ் குரூப், கோ டு சிஏ அப்படின்றதையும், ஆர் ராதர் இஸ் சிஏன்றது ஒரு பெரிய டஃப் ஜேர்னியா? அதான் எக்ஸ்டர்னல் வேர்ல்டு நம்புறாங்க. இது ரொம்ப கஷ்டம், ரொம்ப மெரிட்டோரியஸ், ரொம்ப ரேங்க் ஃபீல்டு ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் தான் பாஸ் பண்ண முடியும். நீ அப்படி நினைக்கிறியா?
கண்டிப்பா அப்படி கிடையாது. பிகாஸ் பர்சனலி நானே ஐ எம் நெவர் அ பர்சன் ஹூ கேன் சிட் அண்ட் ஸ்டடி ஃபார் 16-18 hours a day-லாம் ஐ ஹவ் நெவர் டன். பட் ஜென்ரலாக நான் ஸ்கூல் படிக்கிறதுலேயே வாட் பீப்புள் சே அபவுட் த கோர்ஸ் இஸ் தட் you'll have to study for 20 hours a day, you'll have to study for 20 ரொம்ப நாள் படிக்கணும், 15 hours கொடுக்கணும், அந்த மாதிரி. But I would actually say it is a myth or a misconception that the outside world holds. ஏன்னா personally I feel it is just that we'll have to be consistent over a period of time. So probably like say a 5 or 6 months study leave na, we'll just have to be consistent, we'll have to give in our efforts over that period of time. But நானே during the entire journey from my CPT to final என்னைக்குமே I've never studied for 16 hours a day, to be very honest. So அது I would say it is only a misconception. Everyone can definitely become a CA if they put in the required amount of effort. அவ்வளவுதான்.
This is a very good answer because it breaks a lot of myth. ஏன்னா நான் நிறைய வாட்டி சொல்லியிருக்கேன், பட் if it comes from a rank holder's mouth அதுக்கு ஒரு பெரிய வேல்யூ இருக்கு. Coming back to the preparation pattern, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லெவலில் நான் இன்டரில் கேட்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். இன்டரில் ஒரு ஸ்டூடெண்ட் எந்த மாதிரி ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்ணணும், ஆர் ராதர் வாட் ஷுட் பி ஹிஸ் ஃபோக்கஸ் ஏரியாஸ் இன் இன்டர்? ஐ நோ இட்ஸ் 3 years ஆயிடுத்து நீ இன்டர் முடிச்சு, பட் ஸ்டில் ஒரு ரீகலெக்ஷனில் இஃப் யூ கேன் டெல் மீ.
ஸோ நான் இன்டர் படித்தது ஐ டிட் இட் அலாங் வித் மை காலேஜ். ஸோ ஆஸ் சச் நான் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ண டைமே வித் இன்டர் வாஸ் வெரி லெஸ். ஸோ அதனால ஐ ட்ரை டு பி ரியலி ஃபோக்கஸ்ட், அண்ட் என்னோட ஸ்ட்ரென்த்ஸ் எதுவோ அதில் ஐ வில் play it really well. ஸோ எனக்கு generally I feel I am good at practical subjects. So whatever were the practical subjects at the inter level, நான் அது I will focus more so that will help me score the aggregate and the required marks to pass the entire group. So that was my focus. So ஒரு inter student in பார்த்தா firstly they will have to stick on to one material is what I feel like. Juggling between multiple authors or multiple materials will not really serve the purpose. Either it can be SM or it can be any of the classes that they attend. அந்த material கூட இருக்கலாம். So whatever they use, they can stick on to one material, and if they're able to do a consistent work over the entire period of 9 months, which is the inter preparation period, I think it will definitely be very easy for them to crack the exams.
Now coming to final. So final you are doing your articles in a big four. So அதுவே ரொம்ப pressurized environment in the sense the expectations are more. Already interla rank, and from the start of the journey, how the final journey went on?
So final journey ki one thing that I would say is most important na planning. So adanala when I entered my articleship, I mean I was aware that na already Big 4 la iruken, so I'll be able to spend very less amount of time on studies was a known fact. So I didn't want to delay my starting time. So na join panni 6 months la I started with my classes. So a lot of people felt it was really early to start with classes, but I felt I needed that amount of time to know the subjects and understand them well so that I am comfortable in my study leave. So I didn't want to do any subject for the first time in the study leave as such. So I made sure I went through all the subjects once before my study leave, either through classes or through like self-study, and then I approached my study leave. So that was one key thing. So I started a little early, I would say, like within 6 months of joining my articles. So that's when I started my classes. அதுலேருந்து I've been continuously attending classes. So one thing that I would say is நான் classes ரொம்ப மிஸ் பண்ண ட்ரை பண்ண மாட்டேன். Like I mean with my articles it was கொஞ்சம் difficult at times, but at least I would try to manage it with the recorded classes or whatever was possible at that point of time.
So ஒரு subject wise analysisல finalல which are all the subjects that throws challenge, அதுக்கு எந்த மாதிரி approach பண்ணா better?
Personally எனக்கு வந்து all the theory subjects were very challenging because it's very hard to remember and retain. So like so law edutona it's voluminous firstly, and secondly we'll have to remember the exact points that are required to be given in an answer, be it the section number or be it the particular clause of that provision and the madri. So so that poses a challenge because we'll have to exactly reproduce the language to fetch us the required marks. That was one kind of challenge. And I would say every subject is challenging on its own. So I wouldn't say any subject was easy or anything was extremely difficult. Everything was difficult, and then the aspect every subject had its own like a challenging aspect or a challenging part to it. Just that we will have to see how to balance it out. So ella subject there is an easier side, there is a challenging side also. So we'll have to ensure that we focus more on what we are good at and what is the easier side, so that we are able to do good justice in the exam.
So எனக்கு இந்த ஒரு doubt, I have an opinion but I want your opinion on that. Do you remember every section number, every case law and reproduce in the examination?
No, to be very honest, no. So section numbers, when I studied, I made sure I remember section numbers for the most important chapters. Like when I look at law, the first few chapters, that is the part relating to the Companies Act, or the first few chapters where there is a lot of section number, I made sure I marked the ones which were important, which were repetitively tested in the past exams. Other vachi I made a list so that I was focusing on the section numbers only for the particular list. I was not exactly trying to remember the entire Companies Act oda ella section. So that becomes quite not possible ne sollalam, because exam oru naal munadi when you're looking and studying from the book, it is not possible to go through the entire set of sections. So we should make a list and see what is the most important part, and we'll have to try and remember that important part of it for the exam.
Okay. So coming back to the preparation, so you said you started classes 6 months before, immediately on joining articleship. So இப்போ ஒரு CA final journey articleship, last 4 months of leave, last 1 month and every alternative day where you have, அந்த மாதிரி பிரிக்கணும்னா what will you tell to your next gen students how to go about it?
So exam leave per se, I had 5 months of exam leave. And so in the 5 months the way I planned it was more like I made sure I went through all the subjects once. So I had like a 2-step approach in Solana. So firstly I had one round of study, and then I made sure I did the subjects once again before like I go on the final last 1 month of prep. So I made sure I did all the subjects twice. And then I would say the most important thing is to give mock exams. So what I did was I took up a mock exam series like right before my main exams, like I think around like the last 1 month in vechikalam. So I took up a mock exam series. So that really helped me understand where I was making a lot of mistakes and where I should be improving before I go on the final exam. So that I would say was really helpful in understanding where I stood and how I should improve myself for the upcoming exams. So first 5 months of pirikira madri vandaduna, first 2 or 3 months probably it will be full on study from the entire resource material or SM or whichever book a particular student is referring to. And then the next study pannamodu, they should be able to categorize and study as to what is important and what can be done the day before exam, because there are certain easy topics which they might remember from the first time itself, so that they will not have to spend time in the second round. So that categorization should happen when you are looking at the subjects for the second time.
Good. So, on the one day before examination, what is that time? What should a student do in that?
So technically, one day before the exam is a very short span of time. So this comes from the 5 months or 4 months of study leave that the student is coming from. So the second revision, whenever we are doing it, we should make sure we mark those important topics which will have to be studied the day before exam. So there are like a few topics which Kandipa we'll have to do the day before exam for us to remember it during the exam. So those are topics that we'll have to focus first. And then what I did was I mostly had like a revision material for all the subjects. Either I made my own from the study material or it was from any of the authors with whom I attended classes. So and the revision material is like a concise version of the entire subject. So I went through, apart from those topics which I mandatorily had to do, I went through the revision material just to get a sense of what is there in all the other areas so that I don't miss out on any topic like coverage wise. And one more thing that I would stress is a minimum of 6 to 7 hours of sleep the day before exam is something that is really important, and compromising on sleep will not help us perform better in the exam. So this I can say through experience also. I've never compromised on my sleep. So I've never compromised on sleep. Adnala padichi na nanna panne abindratha I can't say. So minimum of 6 hours is something that is required definitely.
Excellent. And study material, CA Institute or study material, how far it is important from the both at the time of preparation, now that you have after writing the examination, how you feel that institute material?
Inter level when I look at it, I did not use much of the SM because I took classes with Bharadwaj and I used all their material. So I was really comfortable with the material that I got from the classes. So I went on and I used that material. But for final point of view, I think SM is something that is really important, and I don't think anyone can afford to miss out on the SM. For a few subjects, we can probably look at other books also. But I think the base can be the SM because at final level, the way it is being tested, I think SM is really helpful in answering the kind of questions that are asked in exams.
Coming back out of all this preparation process for a minute and asking you one more thing from your personal thing, and how did your parents and your relatives, friends circle feel after your ranks?
They were really happy because I think my parents also, they had an inner desire that rank vanda it will be good abdindra madri after the rank in the inter. So they had a small hope that rank vanda it will be good abdina. So when that became a reality, I think they were, their joy knew no limits. So they were really happy. And first attempt clear pannade vande, it was a dream come true for them because they've also seen me through this entire journey, 3 years plus in the 5 months of exam leave. So they've also been really supportive. So I would say enakku evlo in the success equally it belongs to them also. So my parents were extremely happy. So everyone around was celebrating it, and it felt really good at that point of time.
Great. Actually, rendu vidhamana I have been in these two sides of table, so I know what that is, but I want to listen from you also. I have been in the side that where my friends pass out, but I couldn't make it. I have also been on the side when I cleared, some of my friends would have lost out. So, the first thing I always look for is those people who couldn't make it this time. What would you say? How to approach it?
So I would say they wouldn't have been without putting effort. So they would have definitely given the effort. But maybe something like luck would not have favored them this time. So what I would say is it is only a matter of time. So I wouldn't say it is success denied to them. It is only slightly delayed, like say by 3 months. So I'm sure those who couldn't make it this time, they are definitely going to come out with flying colors in the very next attempt. So I would say it is only a matter of time. So it's only a matter of 3 months that the tables are going to turn around. They are going to be on the winning side, definitely.
Yeah, I hope some of them are here in this table because this was also my question. How far luck matters in CA?
Luck to a very small extent, probably like the external factors, one of the factors might be luck, like to a very small extent. but predominantly it is what we put in. But that small factor which we might call as luck or we might call as blessings, God's grace, so whatever we call it, that small factor is always there in anything in life is what I believe personally.
Good. In the 5 months process or in the 3 years process, ஒரு ஸ்விங் ஆஃப் மூட் எப்பயுமே வந்துட்டு போயிட்டு இருக்கும். At some point of time you will feel that no, this is not working out. Did you feel like that also?
Yeah, exactly 1 week before my FR exam started, I was exactly in that particular mood. So I was very depressed because and the exams varaporadundra or fear plus how we will perform andra or uncertainty was also there. So I was in a very low mood probably, and so that is when my family came to my support, I should say. So they were really supportive and they made sure I came back on this, and I was back to studying the very next day. So I was down for almost a day. So I was very depressed and I didn't know how to approach it because exams were nearing and I felt really unprepared. Even though I was preparing, I felt unprepared. So I think that's when my parents came to my rescue, and they were with me like throughout, and they made sure I got back to the grind the very next day. So that family plays a very important role in bringing you back to that entire grind.
So this phase always comes, Leah. That is, I have not prepared or I have not sufficiently prepared அப்படின்ற phase.
Yeah, I think it comes very much close to the exams. So when exams are approaching, we always have that feel. Seriya padikala or we have not done enough. Although exactly when we are going towards the exam hall, so this feeling definitely creeps in. But I think even though we have that feeling, I somehow feel we've already prepared and we have it within ourselves. It's just on how we portray it in the 3 hours. And the feeling, if we let that feeling overcome us, then we are definitely not going to give our best in the exam. So it is best to make sure that feeling doesn't become too much of a fear that we're not able to perform in our exams. But the chinna amount of fear is always good. That helps us perform better, push ourselves to perform better the very next day. So,
and another feeling which I popularly hear, ஏதாவது ஒரு exam I have not performed well in this exam, have you felt that?
In the final exams, I think I felt like that for almost 2 or 3 papers. Mudichittu vandu I generally don't discuss answers because I feel that will take away my time for the next exam. So I generally don't discuss the answers of the question paper with anyone. But personally, for I think 2 or 3 papers, I felt I didn't give my best. But I feel even though and the feeling namakku irundha kuda, we really can't do anything about it after completing the exam. So whatever we could do, we've already done it in the 3 hours. So crying over spilt milk and the exam pati yosti spoiling the next exam is not a good idea. Whatever it is, we can keep it within ourselves and probably not think too much about the exam that's already done.
So yeah, actually at the end when you see the mark, you always feel that you cannot judge your performance. Is it true?
Yeah, it's very true. That especially for those 2-3 papers where I felt I didn't perform well, I was really surprised to see I had actually scored not bad in those papers. Like it was more than what I expected in those particular papers.
So that day exam, you forget that day. You cannot be your judge of marks.
Yeah, so we should not be preempting what will happen is what I feel, because when we judge what we have performed, it's more like we think idukku mark varum, idukku mark varade is all our assumptions. So when we start preempting, it's going to just take more time from the next exam is what I feel.
Great. So what next?
So I am looking for newer opportunities, avenues where I can prove myself. So hoping to land in a particular opportunity which suits my interest very soon.
So is this going to be the end of Ranjana's academic journey, or is academic journey going to continue in terms of a course, I'm asking?
I think it might continue. It will definitely continue. Even if not immediately in the next couple of months, but definitely down the line in a few years, I think the academic journey will keep continuing. I don't want to put a full stop to the academic journey with this one particular course. I think I'll definitely try my hand and I will try to excel in a lot more courses which I will pursue in the future.
Good. Thanks, Ranjana. Thanks for your time, and once more, hearty congratulations. Wonderful results and a great academic journey. Nariya perke inspiration. Epime I used to tell that inspiration should not come from a teacher. If it comes from a student, it is great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, sir. It was my pleasure.